Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Farthing, and I am the manager of the Business Processing Division. This morning, I'd like to give you some basic information about filing for Illinois business income tax. We will begin with an overview of the filing requirements for businesses. Then we will cover some changes you can expect to see for the 2025 tax year. And finally, I'd like to go over some of the common mistakes we see from Illinois businesses when filing their returns. Avoiding these mistakes will prevent delays in processing your tax return. Let's begin with the filing requirements for filing each type of business income tax return. As you can see on the chart here, each return type has an original return due date and an automatic extended due date. In the event the above date falls on a weekend or a holiday, the due date will be pushed back to the first business day that follows. Please see the form instructions for specifics about the due date of the return, as well as special cases like cooperatives and corporations filing on a fiscal year that ends in June. For all business return types, full payment is due at the time of the original return due date. This is true even if the return itself is not filed until the extended due date. Additionally, estimated payments are required for income tax liabilities of $400 or more on an IL 1120. For those electing to pay pass-through entity tax on an IL 1120 ST or an IL 1065 return, the estimated payments are due for tax liabilities of $500 or more. In each case, these quarterly payments are due on the 15th day of the 4th, 6th, 9th, and 12th months of the tax year. Now let's take a moment to discuss a few updates to your business income tax forms for tax year 2025. The good news is that for most taxpayers, there are relatively few changes to the business income tax forms this year. However, there are a few changes which might affect certain taxpayers. The Schedule M, other subtractions and additions for businesses, has been reformatted to include a new addition line for any amount that was deducted from a taxpayer's federal income tax and which is attributable to an endowment gift for which the taxpayer receives a credit under the Illinois Gives Tax Credit Act. These amounts must be added back on line 7B. Effective for tax years ending on or after December 31st, 2025, the Schedule J foreign dividends has also been modified to limit the dividend received deduction for net controlled foreign corporation tested income, or NICT for short. That's been reduced to 50% of the amount recognized. This is what was formerly called the Global Intangible Low Taxed Income, or GILTI for short. Effective for tax years ending on or after June 16th of 2025, gains and losses from sales or exchanges of shares in S corporations or from interest in partnerships are allocable to Illinois if the pass-through entity is taxable in Illinois. Line 9 of the Schedule NB, non-business income, has been reformatted to include these gains or losses. The Schedule K1P, partners or shareholders' share of income, deductions, credits, and recaptured, has also been updated. It's been updated to include a new step, Step 8, for partners' shares of retirement payments. In addition, the income tax credits section of the K1P, Step 7, has been updated to reflect the current income tax credits for tax year 2025. For further information on any of these changes, you can find the details in the instructions for the specific schedule that we've highlighted here. Now, speaking of income tax credits, there are some new tax credits which may now be claimed beginning on tax years ending 12/31 of 2025. There's the Illinois Gives. It's a credit earned from qualified contributions made during 2025, and it may now be claimed on the appropriate Schedule 1299. For more information, you can visit tax.illinois.gov. There are also some new credits which are incentives for doing business in the state of Illinois. There's the Manufacturing Illinois CHIPS for Real Opportunity, also known as the Micro Illinois Credit. There is the Advancing Innovative Manufacturing for Illinois, which is known as the AIM credit. And there's the Film Production Service Tax Credit, which is a credit we've had in the past, but it has been expanded this year to include a broader definition and guidelines that allow for more opportunities to receive the credit. These and other credits like them can be earned by working with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, the DCEO. For more information, please go to dceo.illinois.gov. One final tax credit with significant changes for 2025 is the credit for wages paid to returning citizens. This credit was formerly known as the ex-felons tax credit and is an incentive for businesses to hire as employees those individuals who were formerly incarcerated and are now re-entering society. Beginning with tax years ending December 31st, 2025, businesses that plan to take advantage of the credit for wages paid to returning citizens, they will need to register with the Department of Revenue. Here are a few highlights you will want to know. Businesses may earn up to $7,500 per qualified employee based on a calculation of 15% of the wages paid to the qualified returning citizen. There is a limit to the program, however. The program is limited to $1 million annually, so credits will be released to qualified businesses on a first-come, first-served basis. In order to earn the credit, you must first have your business registered with the Department of Revenue at mytax.illinois.gov. Once you are registered, you will need to apply for a returning citizen credit. Then we will make a determination and issue a credit certificate if the business is qualified and the returning citizen is qualified for the credit. Finally, you will claim the credit when you file your annual business income tax return on the corresponding 1299 form. A final change that I'd like to address for the 2025 tax year is related to unitary business groups. Effective for tax years ending on or after December 31st of 2025, Illinois unitary taxpayers must follow the Finnegan method of apportionment when calculating their apportionment factor on the Illinois Schedule UB, the combined apportionment for unitary business groups. What this means is that non-taxable members of the unitary business group now must allocate their sales in Illinois to the taxable members of the unitary business group. There's a new allocation worksheet in the Schedule UB instructions, which will walk through the calculations that are necessary to reallocate the Illinois sales factor according to the Finnegan method of apportionment. After figuring the reallocated sales factor to group members, the apportionment will be reported on Schedule UB, Step 4, as usual. If this applies to your situation, you may refer to the Schedule UB instructions for more information. And then if you still have questions, you're welcome to reach out to us here at the department. One last thing I'd like to cover with you today. I'd like to share some common mistakes which are made by business income tax filers. By avoiding these mistakes, you will also avoid delays in processing of your returns. First, we often see returns filed on the incorrect form or the filing period that's being filed. This is especially true with fiscal year-end tax filers. For a fiscal year ending, be sure to use the form which has the previous year printed on top of the form. Do not make changes to the form itself to make it appear correct. We often see taxpayers scratching out the year and making changes. This is not correct. Forms which are prescribed by the department forms which are not prescribed by the department will be considered invalid. Using the incorrect form will cause delays in processing your return. Here are some common errors related to additions and subtraction modifications. If there is an addition on a K1P or a K1T, then it must be reported on the return. Also, when reporting a modification from a K1P or a K1T, be sure it is reported on the correct corresponding schedule or the correct corresponding return line. One special thing to note is that Schedule M, line 39, other subtractions, is generally not the place where subtractions are reported. There's usually a better place on the return or on another schedule to report that subtraction. If there's ever a subtraction that we allow on Schedule M, line 39, it will be listed in the most current version of the Publication 101. So be sure to check the publication before you submit your return with an amount on line 39 of Schedule M. If you're reporting a Schedule J foreign dividend subtraction, we do require a copy of the federal Schedule C, or the equivalent, depending on which federal form you're filing. It is required for support when claiming that Schedule J subtraction. So please send this in with the Illinois return in order to prevent delays. The apportionment section of the return is where many common mistakes are made. First, when you report any income or loss outside of Illinois, you must complete all three apportionment lines: the total sales everywhere, the total sales in Illinois, and the apportionment factor. Do not report negative sales or negative sales factors, as they are not allowed. This includes the Schedule UB and the subgroup schedule. And then any special apportionment method that you're using must be approved by the department in advance. So before you submit that return with a special apportionment, please reach out to us for that special approval. Another part of the return which causes problems for taxpayers is the payment section. The payment line of the return is only intended for reporting payments made prior to the filing of the return. We ask that you not include any amounts paid when you file the return. In order to help us post your payment correctly, be sure to include the fee and the filing period on both the check and the payment voucher when you make the payment. Also, when making a payment, we ask that you allow 15 days for the payment to post to your account. We will honor the date a payment is received regardless of when it shows on your MyTax Illinois account as posted. When filing an amended return, be sure to use the correct form. Just like an original return should be on the correct year's form, the amended return does as well. So file using an amended form, and that form is identified by having an X at the end of it, such as the IL 1120X. Then when you are making federal changes, we do require a finalization date before we can process the amended change. So be sure to include that finalization date when you file your Illinois amended return. If you do happen to make any of these mistakes or other errors, you may receive a notice from us asking for additional information or for corrections to the return. When that happens, you may respond to the notice electronically through your MyTax Illinois account. To respond to a notice you have received, simply log on to your MyTax Illinois account, and then after logging on to the account, click the View More Account Options link under the tax type. Finally, you will see a link that says Respond to a Notice. Click that link and it'll walk you through how to answer the notice that we have sent to you. A few final quick tips. Respond to any notice that we do issue to you in as timely a manner as possible. The quicker you get that responded to, the quicker we can work through the problem on the account, and the quicker you will find that your account is brought to a zero balance with no problems. When you do respond to a notice that we've sent to you, we ask that you send a copy of the notice that you've received so that we know exactly what you are responding to. There are often numerous letters or notices issued on an account, and we have to dig around to find the correct one. If you send a copy with your response, it really helps us respond to that and work through that response much more quickly. Finally, I just want to give a reminder that we are here to serve you and to help you resolve your problems on the account. We look forward to working with you, and we enjoy working with taxpayers. So please respond quickly, and we will work with you to resolve any issues you may have.